Hey there, everyone. It's GG Sober Son. June 30th. Alcoholics are unable or unwilling during their addiction to alcohol to live in the present. The result is that they live in a constant state of remorse and fear because of their unholy past and its morbid attraction, or the uncertain future and its vague forebodings. So the only real hope for the alcoholic is to face the present. Now is the time. Now is ours. The past is beyond recall. The future is as uncertain as life itself. Only the now belongs to us. Am I living in the now? It takes a tremendous amount of effort to live in the present moment. That's why there's books written about, like The Power of Now is one by Eckhart Tolle. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but not that I'm recommending that, but I'm just saying that is, it is, meditating, being in the moment. I love that old saying, and I thought it was such a wise saying, and then it was included in the movie Kung Fu Panda, where he says, "Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, right now is a gift." That's why it's called the present. That old chestnut. I love it. I love it, though. I mean, it's so true. I don't know that's really why it's called the present, but I love what that connotes, to use a big word. But I did have that, vague foreboding, and it's also referred to in the rooms as the fear of impending doom, and I had that the year I turned 21. I was stationed in South Korea in the Air Force, and I started experiencing that because I drank almost every day. And when I didn't drink, I would have nightmares and restless, irritable, and discontent, as it talks about in the big book. But I also remember having woeful discussions about childhood experiences and family dysfunction with my drinking buddies, a couple of my drinking buddies as well, which to me I think kind of proves that it wasn't that bad if I can that I can talk about it, but I don't know. That's what I'm going with today. Meditation for the day. I must forget the past as much as possible. Amen to that. The past is over and gone forever. Nothing can be done about the past except to make what restitution I can. I must not carry the burden of my past failures. I must go on in faith. The clouds will clear and the way will lighten. The path will become less stony with every forward step I take. God has no reproach for anything that He has healed. I can be made whole and free, even though I have wrecked my life in the past. Remember the saying, "Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more." Yeah, that's I think it's a fine balance, really. I know I've experienced a lot of growth as a result of being a member of adult children of alcoholics and dysfunction. It's not because there's a lot of members who come from just dysfunctional backgrounds, families, and their parents didn't drink at all, but we have all the same they call it the laundry list traits. There's 14 laundry list traits that I won't go through, but it was I qualify for probably at least 11 to 12 of the 14 laundry list traits that are listed. And so and so many, like I said, that their parents didn't drink at all, but were, what you might call para-alcoholics. And as I said, I've experienced a lot of growth and a lot of relief. Hey, get it on it, get some. As a result of my attendance at ACA, they call it Adult Children Anonymous meetings. And, and I can see how in the past, my behavior, especially with regards to romantic relationships, have been dictated by a lot of early childhood trauma and misheld beliefs, misguided beliefs that I didn't realize I had until I'm put in collision with other people, and the most intense collisions happen within a romantic relationship. And so, I want to bring my best self to a relationship and or a marriage and or a friendship, for that matter. And if all these things from my past are pulling strings that I don't even know are there, I think it's important to reflect on those things that may be dictating my behavior in the present. So that's whether, so I guess, and I don't claim to know all about it or anything like that, but I guess what I'm saying is that I think there's a balance between looking back and being in the present, because I want to live the fullest I can in the moment. But if there are those things in the past that are going to put me in collision with other people in the present, I want to know about it. Not that there's a constant vigilance, because that's a hallmark of PTSD. But I'd rather err on the side of constant vigilance than being a victimizer, because I refuse to look at myself and these past things. So it's hugely important, I think, for me to look back, and the analogy that came to me was, because I heard the joke, hey, the windshield's bigger than the rear view mirror for a reason. And I love it. It's true. They got to be in the present. You have to be able to look forward. If I'm looking in the rearview mirror too much, I'm going to be in collision with the people around me and in front of me. What's in front of me? And so, I'm sure this analogy breaks down at some point, but, I found, because of a past trauma, okay, in 2013, I was involved in an accident where this big moving truck, the driver fell asleep at the wheel, and he careened through stopped traffic at a stoplight and killed two people in the car next to me. And my old Buick LeSabre, a big old boat of a car, saved my life, but it just totaled it out. I mean, I couldn't open the doors or anything like that. Airbags deployed, everything else, I got hauled off on a backboard to the ER, that kind of thing. A real life-changing experience, right? So from that point on, I was hyper aware of the cars behind me. And the first thing it did was made me drive like a maniac. If anybody was even close to coming up on my bumper, I would drive through. I wouldn't just pull over. I just drove like a maniac and rode on everybody else's bumper. So the very thing that I'm talking about caused me to victimize others until I realized what I was doing. Why is my jaw hurt all the time? Because I'm clenching my teeth. Why do I have a headache if I drive too long? And and I thought I was doing good by getting behind the wheel the very next day, right? Which I would agree is a good idea, but I thought that meant I was over it already. But then my family and I drove up I bought a big old Cadillac as a grandiose fear response as well. I wanted a big safe car like my LeSabre, but the fact that it was flashy and looked like a mafioso car didn't hurt either, and I'd never owned a Cadillac before, so it just fed my ego, that's all. And then we drove up to Pennsylvania in this car, or I drove the entire way, nonstop, and there were times on the highway that I was driving 120 miles per hour with my family in the car. I mean, they were asleep or whatever, and weren't really paying attention to how I was driving because anyway. A cop friend of mine called me when I was in Pennsylvania, and we were talking, and I was telling him, oh yeah, I love this car. I was driving 120 on the highway, following a guy that had a radar detector, as we do. He said, they can confiscate your car from you. The police can confiscate your car from you if you're doing too fast on the highway, and they will do it in a heartbeat. And I was like, okay, noted, thank you for telling me. But I also know that driving like that was an absolute response to, because I've never driven like that before. Well, I have driven like that before, but this was an absolute fear response. I didn't like being tailgated. I didn't like anybody coming up on my tail. If they were driving faster than me or whatever and I couldn't get over immediately, I would ride the tailgate of the person in front of me. At any rate, so I would, even after I recognized that, and recognize that it's okay, I can pull over and even pull off the road if necessary to avoid that feeling, that fear that came over me. Rightfully so. I mean, it's not an unwarranted fear. It was because I was involved in an accident, right? But my response to these feelings doesn't have to victimize other people. I can pull over into the right-hand lane safely, slowly, not tailgating the car in front of me, and or pull off the road entirely. Just turn down another road to get out of the way of this aggressive driver that may be coming up behind me. But so I said all that to say that I was preoccupied with the rear view mirror. And there were times that I actually tapped the bumper of the car in front of me after that. And so, it's so what I had to do was flip the inside rear view mirror up a little bit to where I had to crane my neck to look behind me if I needed to make a lane change or what have you. And likewise with the outside mirrors, adjust them to where I couldn't just shift my eyes to see if there's a car behind me. I had to actually crane my neck. It took a physical response, and that gave me enough time to be mindful of my reaction if there was a car behind me. And the fact of the matter is, if they tailgate me, there's not a doggone thing I can do except get off the road. But as I mentioned, I was preoccupied, so I adjusted my mirrors to where I had to, if I was going to look at the car behind me, I had to do it intentionally. I had to take an action. And that, for me, is what ACA does. It's an intentional look behind me because I want to do a specific thing. I know that a lot of childhood trauma and experience led to the end of my last long-term relationship. A lot of fear, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of shame, I guess, that led to that breakup. I want to be in a healthy relationship, whether it's one day with this same woman or with someone else. I want to bring my best self to the relationship. So, look back, but don't stare. That's what I've also heard in the room. Sometimes we do have to look back. When we do a 4-step, we have to look back. But again, that's like that deliberate tilting of the rearview mirror. So I have to do it intentionally, deliberately, not just happen to see some headlights appear in my inside rearview mirror, you know what I mean? All up in my grill. So look back, but don't stare. Love y'all. Look up, aim up, rise up.